What's up, everybody? It is Robbie for PPG, doing a quick deck profile on my top 16 performance this weekend in the Invitational. Sadly, I did make a giant misplay. If you were watching the game, you saw me make a mistake with a bean. Cost me the game. Didn't think my opponent had that many tricks left. My fault. But almost made top 8 with this new deck. There was some very clear mistakes in my build that we're going to go over. And you'll see it as we talk about it, what we can change out and what will make the deck better. But it's a pretty solid list. This is the final version of my launch, for the lack of a better term, for these video series. There's going to be a red-green one, a red-blue, and of course this amazing list here of red, green, and blue, the tricolor list. I actually even considered it being a 4-color with black, using that new Brawly card, but it's already kind of hard for room. First off, you'll notice this is a 55-card deck. I considered it being a 56-card deck to put in a Supreme Kai, and with the exception of that Reboot Gohan match, didn't feel like I needed it. So I will say Supreme Kai should be in the sideboard, just to help out in those kind of weird matches that you just don't want the leader to swing. The basic premise of this deck is to abuse launch. As I've talked about in the other videos, she's pretty insane because whenever you combo, you draw a card, and then every time that you flip a life from one of your skills that are red, you then get to draw another card, and then your next combo also draws you a card. She also has built-in extra card advantage past that, which we'll talk about of why it worked so well for me. In my list, you're going to notice that I run a lot of 10Ks. I saw a lot of you guys talking about it on the stream, thinking I ran too many. Nope, it's amazing. This is how many 10Ks you want. I might even add more. I'm not going to say which one, because I'm pretty sure I'm running this deck for the Invitational in March. It's going to go probably away for a bit, and I'm just going to play Red Brawly up until then at locals, just because I don't want to be mean and bring this monster every week. And I don't think there's any other events. Unless there's a PPG event, then I'll bring it out. But the basic premise is you're just like a red-green deck. You still have Piccolos. You still have access to Beerus Godly Majesty. You still have Gogetas. You still have Champas. Those are the really good cards that make the green good. But now we're adding a little bit of blue, just basically to have access to Bean, and Cooler, and Majin Buu. These are very powerful cards that will let you do a lot of different tricks, and it makes the game a lot simpler for me. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Your primary turn 1 play is going to be a red-blue land. Because of that, I could see adding a 4th Hercule Majin Buu or any other red-blue card that you're a big fan of. It doesn't matter what it is. Frequently, you'll actually just charge a super combo. You're fine with it. It's not the optimal charge, to say the least. But just having a red-blue on your, let's say, crackback turn that you're afraid of, you just need to have one super combo in your hand. Having multiple usually doesn't matter because Bean will do a lot of your work. And that's pretty much it for the parts that were unobvious. The MVP of the weekend is this card, Inferno Villainy Cell. Whether you run this or you run a different version of a draw card when you combo 10K, this is probably the best part about the deck because it's very simple to get anyone to 4 nowadays. Once they're at 4, getting them lower is extremely hard. As you see here in this deck, we've got double strike galore. We got Cooler with double strike, Champa giving stuff double strike, Gogeta double strike. We even have a Champa. This card has double strike. This card has double strike. Lots of it. The problem is our combo power is not always easy to blow on the offense because if they take the life and go to 2 and we combo, let's say, 3 cards, it can put you in an awkward situation in the current environment. I'm sure you guys saw it. Silk had a few games where I was watching. I'm not sure if they were on stream or not, but when I was just jumping through games because mine were going pretty fast, where people were comboing way too many cards into Silk just to make him take a damage. So we don't want to overcommit. What we want to do is just play Infernal Villainy Cell. So the reason why this is so great is if we start an attack with any of our double strikers when our opponent's at 2 life, let's say a Gogeta is attacking. We combo with one of our flip cards. We draw a card. Now we got 25k combo power. We're going to flip, causing us to draw a card. So we're up one card for the turn. Then once we flip, we're going to go ahead and play that Infernal Cell for 1 damage and to get up another 10k. So now we're going to go up to 35 total power on my Gogeta, but I'm going to draw 2 cards. That may not seem amazing, but it's going to put my opponent in an awkward situation where if they choose to defend, they're going to be like, okay, sure, combo, let's say 2 super combos, and then a 5k. Well, they're going to lose a card, but I'm going to gain card advantage, making this matchup way better for my case. There's also little bits of strategy built into it, like you'll notice this 1 Mercenary Tau. I liked it. 1 Bardock the Resolute, liked it a lot. You could run more on the sideboard if you want to, but it's not cards that you necessarily need a lot of. You'll notice because we are running 55 cards, we should have lots of flippers. This is where I got my final loss against a red Brawly deck, because the first time in the entire tournament, which was unfortunate, 2 games in a row, I drew 0 flippers at the end of turn 3. So he won very easily. So that made me realize that you need to run the SR, you need to run the winner card, and you need to cut this launch Brown County's Most Wanted. Terrible card. This card easily became the thing. Whenever I drew it, I had to combo it. I never kept it and was like, oh, this card's so great, I'm going to kill their 15k. It literally never mattered. So if we cut these 2, and what I'm going to do actually while we're building it, just to show you, this is what I'm going to run this weekend. If you guys are going to play, I forgot who's throwing the event. I think it's Super Players. But I'm excited to just play. So we're going to up the Bulma Confident Friend. That's the one that says draw a card when you play it. And then it's also just a flipper. And we're just going to get rid of those launches, which makes me sad because I did buy the pre-release stamps of that card, because when I first read it, I'm like, this is fantastic. It's a turn 1 critical. It kills my opponent's play. But no, it doesn't do what we want. So a few things about playstyle with the deck that I haven't got to talk about. I saw a few videos discussing this deck, and I disagree with the power of Hasty Dispatch in the deck. This is probably your best card on top of a red-blue to keep in your opening hand. In large part because all you're going to do is combo one of your flipping cards. Once you flip, combo with the Hasty. Excuse me. So you're going to net 1 card. You're also going to combo out of the attack. And then during your turn, if you went first, it'll be your next turn. But if it's your turn 1 and your opponent went first, you can do it right then and there. You then get to play that card from your drop, so that way you have another flipper and another opportunity to keep drawing cards. When I was playing against Reboot Gohan, it made it very easy. I think I crushed him game 1 it was. And that was why. I went turn 1, I did that. And then on turn 2, I popped it, comboed, drew into another Hasty Dispatch, and did it again. So that way on my turn 2... my turn 3, all I did was play I already had the 1 drop in play from removing it from the game again at the start of my turn. And I played a Piccolo, and I just attacked. And all I was a 17k, made him take a damage to go to 2 life, and didn't bother to combo because I had a giant hand. I knew I couldn't probably kill him because he had an energy open. I didn't want to commit a bunch of cards to it. But I got to draw 2 off of that effect, make him take a damage, always relevant. And then I was able to keep a hand of like 2 Divine Beeruses and some other stuff. So that way when he finally went in for his big turn, I was able to just obliterate him. Game 2, I did make a little bit more of an underwhelming decisions. And that being in my sideboard. So I'll talk about that now because Piccolo Jr., Descendant of King, is a bad card. I thought this card was great because my Brawly deck ran it. Thought it was fantastic. Unfortunately, it is situational. In Brawly, you don't care about it. You just want to draw a card. You don't do anything. Launch really takes advantage, in my build, of her arrival ability. Because she's arriving so often, I really need people to be attacking me, so if they're attacking my unison, problematic. Well, that's why Bulma Secret Supporter is fantastic. The reason why she's so good is, if we want to, we can run a few cards like the Goku SPR, which I'm going to consider, and I'm going to try it out. That's 2 red, and says when you flip it, you can just put it into play, and I think you can put a life back. You can do a few other cards where you're basically getting a chance to use the other mechanic, where if you flip a card, you can play something for free. So that's good by itself, and enough to be like, let's try it. But what's really nice about her is when you block with this card, or if someone just attacks it, you get to flip a life, and you'll get to awaken once a turn. It's really good. Where is she at? Sorry, yeah, boom, right here. So if your leader's a red earthling with 10,000 or less, if a marker gets removed from an opponent's attack, flip up to 1 card face up, and then at the end of turn, flip all face cards in your life face down. That was amazing, because frequently decks like Frieza would just attack my unison, and I had bad hands where I didn't actually have a lot I could combo with, so I was afraid they were going to start attacking my life. Since in my build, I don't want to take life. I noticed that the red-green build doesn't mind, for their card advantage, they're very big on, hey, just keep taking the damage. They're not really comboing out of the attacks. Mine, I'm staying at 8 life as long as I can. I only want to take damage that I can't get out of, because when I'm at 8 life, I will choose when I want to take it with like a Trunks or something on my own terms. I want to take my life, and I want to take my specific life when I want it. With this deck, you're getting to see every card in your life probably by turn 3. If you're flipping a card, and then your opponent's turn, you're flipping, that's at least 6 cards. So almost half your life. You can find out where your beans are. You can find out where your infernal cells are, your piccolos, your overwhelm, whatever it is you're missing. And then you just have to keep track of it. It's not that hard to do. It's a little bit exhausting, I won't lie, but it's not the end of the world. In sideboard, you can see I made some huge mistakes. That's probably the most important thing I want to make sure I cover before I go back into some cool tricks that this deck can do that you may not be noticing. Mai was very needed. I did play against a baby blue deck round 1. I was able to beat him barely game 1 just by doing all my tricks and arriving on his turn, and then just going for it with 1 final attack. And then game 2 decided Mai is just huge. I'd probably say this should be a 3 of or a 4 of, because those decks always seem to matter. They're always out there. And I feel like blue is probably going to be more of your skill-intensive decks for the Invitational. If you're coming in March or you're looking at regionals, I think the better players want to play blue. And that's just going to be a generic thing, because a better player wants the game to go longer. It's just how it works. You want to maximize your lines of plays. Whereas if you're not quite as good at the game, or you're just more luck-based, you're like a roulette deck, you want to end it quickly. So they're not going to play blue. So since I'm trying to always win an event or do well, I'm going to have that sideboard for those blue players, because I think they're going to exist. Violet Rays was great and also kind of terrible. I realized pretty quickly on that Topo would have been a better card, like 99% of the time. So maybe a combination. Like I said, Bulma should definitely be a 4 of. This switch out this Piccolo for Bulma's fantastic. Never got a chance to play Shu or Yamcha. Bulma just doesn't get big enough, and so we have more room in our sideboard. It became pretty obvious that because my deck does go later, some cards like Scientist Fu are not a bad idea. It's just a very good 6-drop. It's generic, and against like Sin Shenron or any of those type of decks, we're probably going to very easily get to those later turns, because it's just how it works. I have a lot of combo power, and I can KO some of their stuff using combinations of tricks. And so it's a pretty good way to deal with it. I will say Sin Shenron's probably the harder matchup if I don't win the dice roll, unless they just play terribly. Because there is some bad plays you can do. Like on turn 2, if you attack me with your battle card, I can very easily like cooler it, and then once I cooler it, play a Champa because it'll be 20k. Although you get to draw 2, then I'll have a cooler and a Champa on my turn. And if you used all your energy on turn 2, I'm probably going to also be arriving a Bardock if I'm lucky enough to play a Beerus. And then I'll also have all of my energy. So what I will purposely be attempting to do at that point will be to play a Piccolo on my turn 3 and just try to kill you in that final blow. So be aware of that. Some other stuff that was really cool in this deck and kind of MVPs was this young lady right here. Boy, this card is good. It's a 5K. That is very relevant. But man, her negate was just always on par. I loved it. It was great having access to a red card that I could charge when I needed to, or if there was decks I was afraid of, like Reboot Gohan's always in the format. I played against the Frieza player, brought out Celzino against me, so I was able to keep 1 energy up once he hit me to 4 with the first Celzino swing. I purposely comboed and then made it so way I could just have 1 energy open, Videl the next attack. Very good plays to do. That being said, the Hercule and Boo combo to arrival this and then get her back at the end of turn, so that way next turn I can do the same thing if I want to and draw a card, was really great against Reboot Gohan. And I didn't get a chance to play against any other really aggressive decks, so I couldn't tell you if it was great against everything. The Jax kept warping my cards, so I didn't get to do it against them. But it was really, really freaking good. Because I'm only running 2 Gogetas, a part of me wants to cut the mechanic only because I feel like I'm never going to get it, and so I might cut it. Only because Gogeta is not necessarily the best red-green arrival. Generally speaking, Champa is just better, for my playstyle at least, because I can give any of my battle cards with a cost 6 or less, and it gets double strikes. And it doesn't matter if they're red or green. It just says choose up to one of your other battle cards. So like Bardock, obviously not green, not red. So for some effects, I thought originally when I read this card, it required it to be red or green. Nope. So Bardock can gain double strike when he's already attacking. That's pretty relevant because a lot of people will purposely try to not stop overwhelm attacks. And Bardock is one of those cards that we do want to run. Drawing 2 and discarding a card is pretty phenomenal. Unlike most decks that only play Beerus, which is a great trick already to run, because you get a free 15k that you summon, discarding a launch is very good. The fact that this SR will let you combo from the drop is pretty amazing, and frequently that would be my turn 3 play. If I was already on my front side, just go ahead and overwhelm, discard the launch I was going to combo with anyway, so it didn't really cost me anything. Swing with my 5k leader, combo, flip, draw a card, and so effectively Bardock was free. Nothing really changed out of my playstyle. It made it very easy. Now, what you may be noticing is I keep talking about all these different line of plays. This deck has a ton of them, and there's so much synergy that you have to keep track of what you're trying to do. If you saw my Vegeks matchup, one of the ones he beat me on was I thought I kind of like pulled the trigger too quickly. And once your opponent has committed their resources is when you should start. The hard part with a deck like that is some of their resources are in their graveyard, so you don't know when they're doing what. Obviously, if they tap out, and that's a huge indicator, as I learned. But so we really want to kind of trick our opponents. We want to have, let's say, 1 energy open, whatever their first attack is, negate it with a Videl, or, just completely tap out if we can. If we can tap out is the best situation to be in, because your opponent will think to themselves, hey, do they have the super combo? Of course you have a super combo. You're drawing like 3 to 4 cards a turn, and you're filtering. So you should always assume this deck has the super combo, or it wouldn't tap out. So once you're tapped out, very easily, Bean will get you the rest of the way. This super combo is the best possible for this deck. You can run Napa. It's fine. I get it. I get the allure of it. This one, on the other hand, is a draw a card, untap a card. In my opinion, draw a card, untap a card with this leader is far superior to just a draw a card, play a 10K. I don't think 10Ks win you game in the current format. I think they can. I don't think it matters to me, and it's not something I'd want to play. By playing this card, I can already just run this Infernal Cell and just combo out of really big attacks. I think the highest I got out of was 100K somebody attacked with, and they were pretty excited about it. And I was like, cool, 100, that's it. And I had like 8 cards in hand, and I just did what you'd expect. I went Bulma, flip, draw, went to my backside, Beerus, draw a card, Bean, 2 Infernal Cells, and then a few other 10Ks. It was pretty easy with double Bean. The synergy that the deck has and the ability to keep going wide is really great. Hard matchup that I have to figure out is Red Brawly. That felt awkward, and I don't know if it's because I didn't draw any flippers, so I assume that's why. That's like my whole mechanic, and I didn't have any of them, so I'm assuming that's why the deck was so hard for me to play. But I'd like to test that matchup going forward because Red Brawly is still a very popular deck. It's very consistent and probably a great contender if you're looking at playing in a best-of-3 event because it doesn't really have what I'd call bad matchups. It just has, some that are less favorable. But like Reboot Gohan, you get multiple blockers. You have a lot of tricks. One of the cards I'm going to try out that I have to find room for, big problem here, which I'm thinking is going to be these Gogetas, is going to be 2 Mechaburas, I think is the name. It's the 2-drop black card that lets you name a card. I just feel like in this current environment, I'm not going to get to shotgun anyone with my build. If you're just straight red-green, sure. That's what you're trying to do. If you were to play me with the red-green build, I think I would beat you just because I can untap and then kill your battle card whenever I want to. But this card, I feel like, would be what I would want to change and what I'm going to try out for this weekend's Untap event. So I think that'll make it a little bit more consistent. What's nice about it, too, is this card can still be comboed with and draw a card. So it doesn't hurt it any. It's just like anything else. It's a free draw a card when I want to filter it if I'm playing against a deck that doesn't matter. I've never played with this card, so I will say Friday I have to test it. I've had it played against me, and boy, has it been rough when I'm playing like Red Brawly. Like when you name a 4-drop would be the optimal play, and then they start going into the other battle cards, and that's what I would like to do, is just name like 4-drop Brawly, have my opponent swing with, let's say, their leader, and then untap some energy and start KOing his board. Sure, he can discard a card and play a 1-drop or a 3-drop, but I'm going to gain a big board advantage, and he can't go into the 4-drop. If you slow down Red Brawly by a turn, I don't think it's a very good deck anymore. But that's also why we still have the Violent Rays. It's a $25 card for a reason. Another card that sucks in my build is the SS3 One-Hit Wonder. It's just not very good, I'll be honest. It's cool. I like it because you do have access to energy in my build, but I never would really use it. If anything, I could see putting Apes into my deck, like for the green matchup. If they're trying to go with a lot of discard effects or a lot of critical, I could definitely see doing that, and then during my turn, just drawing 2. So a red-yellow build would be the only other thing that I think could be better would be red-yellow-blue, kind of like how Ryuku was. And that's the last deck I'm going to try out. So if you see me not playing this list and selling my Piccolo Juniors, free tip, that means I figured out how to make the deck right for the Invitational. But that's kind of it. If you guys have any spice you guys want to share with me, hit me up on Facebook. Or I'll see you at the next PPG event. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.